Yeah, so you would think so. But CMOs are always squeezed, right, for low cost, et cetera, et cetera. So the margins are already pretty low, pretty razor thin, and they're just going to become lower. So these drug companies, when we interact with them, they're not changing the way that the procurement team is going out and, beating up the suppliers. They're always looking for, better pricing, better year-over-year price reductions, et cetera, et cetera. So you'd think that, if they're making a little bit more money per unit off of these drug products because they're either combining them, well, let's just start with that. Because they're combining them, that they would be able to pass along a little bit of that, downstream to vendors and whatnot. But it's not a lot. It's very minuscule if you're able to get away with that and convince them of that.
I guess the next question on that, I mean, I understand what you're saying. So is there a counter-argument that this creates, especially if I take combination, doesn't that become like a kind of a new blockbuster, right? You were mentioning the lack of blockbuster, but if I'm not a pharma guy, by the way, or healthcare guy, so I'm going to oversimplify things, but if I essentially say, two for the price of one, or two-in-one drug, doesn't that become a new product, and doesn't that become a blockbuster?
That's not what we consider blockbuster. Blockbuster is typically a brand new drug in a brand new space, treating, something that's been out there that has, and it just takes off, right? That's what a blockbuster is. When you're combining products and kind of cannibalizing other drug products, those don't tend to be the blockbusters.
I see. Got it. Very clear.
The other, to your other question though, so like the extended release drugs, right? Those are typically new formulations, so that technically it's a new drug. And technically the customer, like the J&Js and the Mercks can sell at a higher price for the new drug. However, again, very much like combination drugs, they tend not to share those profits. They kind of just say, hey, that was part of the, the expense of developing the drug, testing the drug, et cetera, et cetera. So, they tend to try to command the same type of prices that they're paying for their drug delivery packaging, whether it's primary or secondary, that they did previously. So usually we don't have a lot of leg to stand on to try to argue that point.
All right, and then so that's very helpful. Thank you. So if I was to oversimplify and summarize what you're saying, right? I believe what you're describing is that those changes, right? They do not increase the size of the pie for the pharma category. It's more of a replacement or reshuffling type of game, and as a result, there's a little that would go to the CMO.
That's right. It's a reshuffling type of game, higher profit margins for the drug companies, but unfortunately still pretty low margins for the CMOs. If they're savvy enough to take a little bit more off the table, good for them, but it doesn't happen very often.
So now, if we talk about the 2 or 3 categories that we're particularly interested in, so the inhalers, the injectors, and maybe the eye. How would you say those trends affect those 3 categories individually?
So inhalers, if we talk about that, it would be everything, again, drug products that are extended release or long-lasting and combination, without a doubt. Injections, same thing applies there. So injections and inhalers are very similar as far as the way that the drug dynamics go in the pharma industry. And then for the eye, that's a little different because the eye is much more of a niche market where there's not a whole lot of players there doing a lot of things compared to inhalation space or injection space. So with the eye, obviously most of it is injection devices for the most part. Of course, you've got drops too, dropper bottles,